Hi my crafty friends, it's Beverleigh here over at Crafting Chaos, and I'm going to be doing the 11th day of Christmas using a bunch of different card designs, so it really makes a few different cards. Okay, so you've got a few different variations that you can actually add in this series, and I've also included a couple of base cards for you too. So this will be using some stencils from the Free Stencil Gallery, and all I did was typed in freestencilgallery.com Christmas tree and searched, and then I picked 4 that I really liked, that I thought would look pretty, and I'll show you what I did with them as we get into the video. So these are the files that I looked down through. There's lots to choose from, and you may well want to choose something completely different or even do some additional ones yourselves. But I'm just going to go through the basics of that. Some of them are very contemporary, some of them are very traditional, and there's lots of things in here as well related to Christmas that you could use a similar sort of idea. So I'm now going to go back into Canvas. I'm going to move everything that I've made so far off to the left, so I've got that for my file later. And we're going to start by getting straight into the project. And what I'm going to do is choose a file, and I'm going to go to my downloads. No, I'm not. I'm going to go to my SVG files where I've downloaded the stencils. So all as I did, just to review and just cancel that for a second, is on here. Once you've got one you like, so say for example this one, you would click on it, and then once you've clicked on it you save the image as, and it will download it for you. I'm not going to do that step because I've already got mine downloaded that I want to use. So I'm going to go to the place where I've got them downloaded to, which in my case is in my SVG files, and I'm going to bring them in and we'll deal with them one at a time, show you what to do. So once we've got it in, I found that if I went on colour and -3, that seemed to give me a good preview. And what we're looking for in the preview is a lovely turquoise line going all the way around my shapes. Once I've got that, I'm going to say OK. Do I want to paste as the selected image on the work area? The image will not be saved. No, I don't need that. I just want the traced element. So I'm going to select that now. And as you can see, it's brought in a little bit of a rogue piece there, so we can delete that. And what I'm going to do now is select the whole thing. Oops, excuse me. I'm going to edit, and I'm going to group them. That will allow me to resize. Now if I bring in the file here, you can see the sort of size, and what I actually did was, once I grouped it, I made it a bit less tall, but then also zoomed it in a little bit. So let's have a look, and we're more or less there now. That's more or less the size of the last file, and it was more look than management. So I just literally sized it down to 4.74 by 3.78. So if we go to the properties box, we'll just even that up, 7.5, 7.5, and we'll see what we're looking like then. 475 by 375. Oops, got the aspect ratio checked, so it didn't want to do it. 475 by 375, and that's exactly the shape of that shape now. And it's not exactly the same, but it's more or less, it's close, so I'm not too worried about that. All I did then was ungrouped, and then just for the purpose of the card, so you can see the ideas, I can just give them some colours. You could cut these out of multiple pieces of different coloured paper. Certainly, I'm just going to try doing a different colourway, this time using different shades of blue. And again, it's entirely up to you. It can be very traditional, or you could do it very contemporary. And as this is more of a contemporary image, I think a contemporary style is quite a nice idea. So there's one that could be done in a similar idea in blue, and you can edit, group it. You could cut them out in different colours, and I'll show you how to create this base file card in a minute. That will fit nicely on a 5 by 5 inch card, or a 5.5 by 5.5 inch card, dependent. I think for this one I went with the 5.5 in the end, just to give me a bit of space at the bottom to put the greeting, and the greeting that I chose was, in this case, Season's Greeting, because it was very contemporary. I didn't want my greeting to be too ornate. I wanted it to be quite simplistic, like the actual file itself. And I think sometimes we've got to take a little bit of care with our greetings that they actually match the design of the card. So that makes it quite for a contemporary card. Now if I just bring on a square now, just move that to the side, and I'm going to maintain the aspect ratio and make it 5 inches, like so, and close that down. What you could do if you wanted is, once you've got this selected, you can also, if you wish, place it in the centre. I'm just going to shrink it down just a little bit so it fits better. Select both, edit, centre it vertically and horizontally, and then I'm going to edit and process the overlap, and we're going to subtract. And that's going, oh, it wasn't on top. Now if that happens, what that means is the bit that I wanted to punch out wasn't on the top. So what I need to do is send that layer right to the back, so that when I click on the tree gets selected first, and when we do the subtract, it will punch it out. And now obviously you can put that on different backing colours. You could actually cut it out. If we just make it a colour so you can see what it's actually made, it's made that, and then you could easily just piece in different colours like a stencil. So that's another option, and obviously that option could be used for any of these projects. I'm going to move my season's greetings out of the way now so that we can have a look at another idea. So I'm just going to move everything over to the side so it doesn't get in the way. I'll make sure I've got everything included in the file that we make, so that you'll have lots of things that you could have a go at in your download if you choose to download it. So I'm going to choose the next one. So I'm going to click the tree and say OK. And that'll bring it up into the pane that we've got. I've got it at -3 colour, preview. And once again, it's going to hopefully put a nice turquoise line around. We're going to say OK. We don't want the fight, we just want the actual traced image, and we're going to click OK. Now, because it's trying to do that little bit down there of the title, if you will, what we can do, if we're struggling to get that one selected, you can always ungroup them. But as we've got it selected now and we've got rid of it, I'm going to group the file. I'm going to shrink it down. And if I bring this one in, this is the kind of one, I did a similar thing. I've got it as a cut-out piece here, what you can cut out and stick on, or you can overlay it and stick whatever colour in you want, whatever you want to do. So to punch it out, you do exactly the same thing that I've just shown you with this one. But for this one then, if you ungroup it, you can then cut each bit separately in colours. So if you want to make the star gold or out of gold mirror card, that's fine. You can cut the Christmas tree itself out of green, and you choose your green, and that's what you're going to make. So that's the file. Okay, so that's that one. And again, that fits nicely on a 5x5. If you've cut yourself a map like that, that's about 4.5, that would fit nicely in the 5x5. And if you put yourself a matting layer out that's about 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches, then I think this one is a 4.5. So if we just bring that up a layer, and then we could have that matted onto there, and then we could bring in the season's greeting. I'll just make sure it's at the top, and you could get your pen to draw this. It's a single line font, so it's really quick to do. And obviously you'd do that before. So again, a nice contemporary greeting to go with a nice contemporary card. So we'll move these parts off now to the side. So that's 2 options for you. Just move that as well. And we're going to keep the season's greeting so it's easily accessible. So we're just going to drag that off to the side when I can get my handle to grab it. Just wait until I get the crosshair. It's struggling, there we are. So I can move that to the side. So let's go and trace our third tree. So I'm going to choose the file, and I'm going to choose this stencil. And as you saw in the file itself, there were lots of different stencils that you could choose. And this is the next one. Again, I've got it at -3, and I'm going to click preview. Now I do remember there was a little bit more faff to this one, but it's nothing untoward, don't worry about it, it's easy enough to deal with, as you'll see. Say okay, no I don't want the image, so it brings it in nice and big first of all, and I suggest that you leave it quite big, and what you can see, it's bringing in a lot of noise, and I chose not to use that one because I thought it wasn't really my style of pop for, even though it's a contemporary card, it wasn't what I preferred. So what I'm going to do now is just go around, and you can see that it's actually got double layers in places. So I'm just going along and subtracting them, by hitting them and deleting them. Then I'm going to go on View, Fit to Mat, and then I'm just going to select each of these little circles like so. So I'm selecting each one, and then you'll see what I'm going to do. I'm just selecting them, and I'm going to drag them off to the side so you're left with the ones in the tree, and then we can delete them. Now we can, if you want to give it an idea of colour, what I think I would do is make the star grey, gold, and then maybe hit one, miss one, hit one and hit one. So do alternate colours, maybe a lighter green and a dark green, like so. Oops, I've got the same one. That one's the one I intended to touch. And then obviously these circles that you cut out, you can just lay back in, or you could actually put sequins on them to make them your own projects. So now I'm just going to select everything because it's a little bit big. I'm going to edit and group, and then I'm going to resize, and again, so that it fits nicely on our 5x5 card when I bring it in. So there's our 5x5 card. Could map that on, could put my greeting on somewhere, so I've got it over here, and I could put some of these little circles back in, either as using glitter and glue or sequins or gems, whichever lights your candle. So I'm just going to move that off to the side. So that's the third option. And the fourth option that I'm going to show you, our final tree, the one that I chose four that I liked, that I'm going to probably use for my Christmas cards. And obviously in the Christmas tree, in the, like I said, in the freestencilgallery.com, there are lots of different things you could choose from, very contemporary ones to very traditional outline ones, and so on. So that could make a nice one, and you could put some of your own embellishments into that. So there's lots of ones you could choose, but I just chose the four that I liked. And the last one is this one, and I'm going to, again on -3 and preview, and remember what we're looking for is that nice turquoise line. And once we've got that, we're going to say, okay, no, I don't want the image. I'm going to leave it as is, and we're going to deal with the little bit of an issue that we've got again, because you can see not all of them, but some of them have been double sort of drawn. So I'm going to select all the ones that have been double drawn. You can see what I'm doing. I'm holding my shift key down and just clicking on each of those. And then once I've got them, I'm going to drag them off to the side, and I'm going to group them, and you'll see why in a minute. So I'm going to group those, and then the ones that are left behind, the ones that are like sort of the ones that we want to get rid of, we're going to select them and delete them. And you can do a couple at a time, but it's a bit tricky to select these ones. So if you're struggling, just do them the one at a time. Whichever way you wish to do it, and make sure you don't delete anything else, just the ones that have got double layers around them, because that's going to interfere with our cutting file, so we don't want that. So we're just going round. It takes a couple of minutes, or a minute or two, just to get these out of the way, but once it's done, it does make the file much easier to cut and much easier for you to handle. So I'm just taking the time, and remember I've got my other ones off grouped to the side. So you'll see why we've done that in a minute. Just saves a lot of messing once we've got them all deleted. So we're nearly there, and I'm just looking at where that one is now in proportion to the others, and then I'm going to drag that group back in, and I was looking where that one is, and I'm placing that one there, just using my arrow keys to position it a little bit like so it's roughly where it was. And when I click off now, I've got that sorted out. I can delete that because I didn't like that used as that. I'm going to group the whole thing of the balls together now, and I'm going to bring in a pot shape that I preferred, and this was the one that I chose, and I shrunk it in by the width, and then I flipped it on the vertical axes and I just put it at the bottom like so. I'm going to line both shapes up centrally on the vertical axes, and then I'm going to group them. Then I can resize the whole file, and what you can do with this one is you can either, if you want, cut it out and stick it all on in those pieces, or you can make yourself a panel, which is what I did, and I made it 8 inches by 3.4. So I'm going to just take the aspect ratio off, make that one 8, oops, make this one 4, and we're going to, oops, not 54, 4, like so, say OK. And I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees because it's done it in the opposite direction. And I'm going to bring that in. And what I did was I just centred it up on my card at the central. I haven't got it in the middle of the actual thing because I wanted to leave enough space for my greeting at the bottom, but without it engulfing too much on the card. Now I do need to make sure that the tree is on top, so I'm going to send that file back to the bottom, the rectangle back to the bottom. I'm going to select both, edit, and I'm going to process the overlap and subtract. Now this is what I'm intending to do with mine, because I'm not really into like sticking all those little bits down without any guidance as to where they're going to fit. But what I might decide to do is I'm going to just show you in colour what this looks like now. So I'm just going to flood fill, and you can see now we've got that Christmas tree in there. You could again bring in your contemporary seasons greetings. And again, place, oh, we need to bring it to the top again because we've made a new file since, so we need to bring it up to the top. And once we've got it, just bear with. There we go. And if it's a little bit too big, we can always shrink it down. That's the beauty of the scan and cut. Nothing is fixed. And all I did then was I did bring on 2 more of those shapes. I'll just show you how to do one of the cards, because the principle is the same to make the 5.5 and also the 5x5 card. So if I make one, you'll understand the process for making the others. So I'm just going to bring this one on, and I want to resize it. So I'm going to click off, and as you can see, my sizing tool has disappeared. So what I'm going to do is save the project by hitting this icon here. And this is what to do if some of your things disappear. Use that step, then hit the reload button, if you will. It just refreshes everything. For a second you panic and think you've lost everything, but then your file does come back, and usually your what you're looking for then does actually come back on. So we were looking for the sizing icons, and there they are, and I want it to be 16 by 8. Maintain the aspect ratio needs to be off, so I'm going to take it to 8 by, I don't know why I'm saying 16 in my head, I'm adding 8 and 8 instead of thinking of it being an 8 by 8 card, like so. And I'm also going to duplicate that one, so I'm going to click off and click onto that and hit D on my keyboard, and I now need to make that one back to the 4 inches wide, and hopefully we're going to get that there. So then I'm going to just click off, I'm going to select the smaller one and the larger one, line them up to the top, line it up to the left, and then I'm going to just use this one to put a score line in for the other one. So I'm going to double click, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to minus, I'm going to click here, I'm going to go minus, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to go minus, and I'm going to keep going, minus, and again here, minus, and I'm just going to keep going, minus, until we've got that minus, like so. And if it disappears completely, don't worry, because what you can do is using this bit here, so it's because it was curved, it made it difficult to see. So I'm going to just do the line by clicking. I can do the line in a different way. I did the other ones with squares, and it works easier. The steps are easier using the squares, so that don't worry about that. So click on the icon hold your shift key down, drag it out to the other side, double click to anchor, and we're going to turn it into a cutting line and a perforating line, and then I'm going to select both and we're going to line up to the centre. So now that's put that line dead centre, and we can edit and group them so that that is making our file, if you will. So when we fold that, we can have this file on top and we will have our matting layer. So what you can do if you want is just shrink it down a little bit so it fits, and everything else you can make fit. So there you have it. So that's how you can do it. If you wanted to do it a square, which is easier because it's easier to do, and if that happens and you get this matte object, just double click on your matte and it'll take it away. So I'm going to shove that off to the side as well. I'll just, for completeness, do this a perfect square one. So we need that to be 8 by 8. So I'm going to click that, make it 8 by 8. And again, you can either, you're going to take your square tool, I'm going to click and shift and hold down, double click to anchor, make it a cutting line and a perforating line, like so. Then I'm going to select both, I'm going to edit and line them up to the centre, and I'm going to group them. So that's put that in the centre, and as you can see now, if we make this white, we can have that going to the back and this layer on top. And it might be nice to do a background that's got maybe some watercolour background, so all the baubles look a different colour. If you wanted to, you could just put some paper behind some and then sequin the coloured paper behind randomly, or some patterned paper behind, or maybe even you do want to go to the trouble of piecing them all back in. That's entirely your choice. So I'm just going to line the greeting up, show you how to do that. Select the greeting and the layer, line them up there, and then what you've got then is a matting layer for your card. It might be nice to do a watercolour background and put that to the back, whichever you want. So there we've got a few options. So there's one tree. Here's, we're just going to do, we'll leave that in for an extra card that you can have as a base if you want. There's some matting layers. I'm just going to bring that to the top. Oops. We don't want another line, thank you. So we'll edit, undo that. We just want to bring this one up to the top so that we can see, we can view what our files are going to look like. And I'm just going to select them all so I can drag them all across together. And I'm going to send the brown back one layer. Hopefully now that'll, if I send it down so that it will show my tree. I know I've got it behind, so I'm going to edit and undo that. It might be just easier to edit, undo, and just bring the group the tree. If this happens and you're just wanting to preview what it looks like on the screen, just group it initially, drag it into position, and that's possibly an easier way of viewing it on the screen itself. But make sure you ungroup it before you actually send it across to your scan and cut. So that's one of them. Just undo that because I've moved it. So that's one that you could make. So we've got that one highlighted. There's a couple of base cards in there. Here's another one which we can bring to the top. Another one was to make the panel. Just bring that up to the top. So making the stencil by doing the punch out like I showed you. Also you've got the option, if I just bring this up to the top, of cutting your card, and maybe we'll just move this one in, put that one behind, and we're getting there now. So I'm just going to bring in the swirly tree, the one that's like a bit stylised. Well, they're all a bit stylised, but this one particularly so. This one again, remember we said we'd put it on a matting layer, but then on the main card we'll just bring in the star that goes with. So again, and remember you've got that contemporary greeting somewhere in this file, and make sure it's there for us. And we're getting there now. There's the one that we stylised out and we actually punched out, and I did show you how to do that a couple of times. So you can do it this way, you've got the negative and the positive images, and you can do that with any of these. And again, if I just bring this one up to the top and this one up to the top, we've now got this option, obviously, And finally we have that one is slightly different but more or less the same. I'm going to include them all. There's the other greeting, the more traditional greeting if you wanted the more traditional one. See if I can collect it. So this is the contemporary tree. I do love this. Was one of my first ones that I found when I'm just going to click off because again we seem to be, because we've got a lot of files on the go here. I'm just going to resave everything and then I'm going to refresh to bring it up to the top again. So I'm going to refresh, and when I refresh that, where it wasn't letting me coming up to the top, should now let me bring that file up to the top like so. So if I bring it in and up to the top again, that's a nice contemporary file, and there's your more traditional greeting. So I will include all of these in the cutting file. So this is the 11th day. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, I hope that you will like, share and subscribe and let people know where to find me. This is definitely a technique that you could use even as a brand new scan and cut user. If you follow the steps one at a time, you'll get to it. And there I found that greeting is still there. I was just checking that I hadn't deleted it so that I didn't save my file without actually saving that. So I'm just going to move, need to ungroup that. Don't need that one. Just well, I'll go back and ungroup everything and include it in the file when I'm off the air, because this video is quite long enough as it is. So that's it. So you've got 4 different possible trees. You've got different ways of doing it. You can stick them on individual pieces. You can make them into stencils. You can make them DL. You can make them wider and taller, skinnier, fatter, whatever. I've given you 2 different greetings, a traditional greeting, Merry Christmas, and a season's greeting, which is a bit more contemporary. I look forward to hearing your comments, and I hope you like this 11th day. We've got our 12th day to come, and hopefully I'll get that fairly early on into the December month, so you've still got a chance to make the files if you wish. These could be made quite quickly, so if you're a little bit behind with your Christmas cards, you could actually get quite a few made and mass produce, because you can get it to cut out several of the layers that you need at once by arranging the pieces on your scan and cut mat. Okay, that's it for now. Remember, the file will be including all these parts, will be available over on my blog at beverleigh10.blogspot, where you can download the file for free. Incidentally, all the files that I make in my YouTube video are available for free over on my blog, and I hope that you will maybe possibly like or start following the blog so that you'll get to know when new files are uploaded to it. Okay, that's it for now. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and happy December. We're also now on the countdown to Christmas, and it's getting quite exciting. I'm going to go and open my lovely calendar, my advent calendar that my lovely husband bought me. It's a Declior, it's a gift a day sort of Christmas calendar, so I'm feeling very spoilt this year, and I'm looking forward to opening my first door. So I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.